I am Igor Lebedev, and this is Comrade Crusade Podcast.
We're rolling with it.
No, God! No, God, please, no! 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 No!
Nick, anything on your radar?
My radar? I don't even know what that means.
Your gaydar, dude?
My gaming radar? That's what you mean, right?
Yeah,
Yes, that is what he means, and he means nothing else for legal purposes.
Listen, they did gaydar on The Office. It's okay.
Yeah, we don't want to get sued by them. There's a writer's strike. They need that money.
I don't even want to touch that statement on this podcast unless we lose like a third of our listenership when they hear my Office opinions.
What a surprise. Chris doesn't like something everyone else likes. News at 10. Oh, man. All right. Console Crusade podcast. EJ Olson, Nick Derheim,
Hello?
Chris Gillyford.
In Soviet Russia, Console Crusade you.
Why can Chris do a Russian accent, but every time I try to do it, no. What's that bit from The Office where he starts doing the
Chris Rock.
The Chris Rock routine?
Oh.
Anyway, Chris loves the fucking Office, dude.
Scrub that. Cut it.
I was watching just cold opens from The Office. It's just so many classic cold opens, you know? They don't do it like that anymore.
There are some good cold opens. I laughed at it. I watched the whole thing with Tiffany. I'd never really watched it at all prior to then, and there was some stuff I laughed at quite a lot, and sort of the like pillars of this is why you like The Office. I was like, yeah, I don't give a fuck about any of this. Don't give a fuck about any of it. Jim and Pam, don't give a shit. He's a fucking slacker loser. I hate him. Literally never liked him the whole show. Made questionable decisions the whole time. Was an asshole to his coworkers because he was apathetic and had no direction in life. It's just like antithetical to my own existence of giving a fuck about the things that I do. So I was like, I don't care. I don't care about you. And why would you buy a house without telling your wife? That's the stupidest fucking thing I've ever heard. People are like, oh my God, he bought her a house. I'm like, that's awful. That's a terrible
crazy.
Decision to make by yourself.
Got a real Andy over here.
Got him!
I don't even remember who that is. Is that Ed Helms?
Okay, all right, we're done here.
No, I just like, is that Ed Helms' character? Is that Andy?
Yes.
Okay.
Where'd you go to college, Chris?
Not Cornell. I could tell you that. Don't continue this conversation. Let's move on.
You guys recorded last week without me. I was at the coast relaxing.
Your presence was missed.
I got a kick out of listening to you guys spend 40 minutes not talking about video games and just catching up about your life. And I was like, oh, the one time everybody catches up and I'm not there? They're talking about real life today.
Yeah, that's always an option, EJ.
The listeners, they don't give a shit about us. They need the news.
No, I think it's probably the other way around.
Yeah, that might be right. Nick, what's been going on since, not since last we spoke. I know what was going on the week prior because I listened to the podcast last week.
Yeah, you listened in. This last weekend, went and saw Barbenheimer. That was pretty fun. Got to see some of the lads. I hadn't seen Andrew and Max in a long time. Tim, and then some of their friends who I'm not as close with and can only half remember their names. But that was a lot of fun. Unfortunately, we're stuck in the Regal cinemas, so the chairs were awful and they were way too warm, and the sound wasn't very good. But that's kind of par for the course for a Nolan film. And then I didn't have any complaints for the sound in Barbie, but obviously Oppenheimer was very loud and mixed weirdly.
It's mixed for IMAX, brother.
I watched it in IMAX. Guess what? It still sounded like shit.
Oh, no.
You're the only person that I have heard say that about Oppenheimer specifically. Usually, I agree with you that his mixing with his dialogue especially fucking infuriates me, in spite of all the other things that I literally worship about him as a filmmaker. But that's interesting to hear. I'm going on Thursday, and I also, while we're on the subject, they extended the run in Nashville of the 70 millimeter showing. And I got fucking tickets. So I get to go see it in like literally the most like premium possible IMAX format in the filmmaker's intended medium. So I'm really fucking excited about that.
I'd have to double check because I seem to remember that the Bridgeport IMAX has done 70 millimeter in the past, but I don't think this was. I feel like that would have been advertised if this
Yeah.
was the case.
Yeah, you're right.
I think they have done that because I remember when Tarantino's not Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, but
Hateful Eight.
Angry Eight or whatever. Hateful Eight. what a stupid name for a movie, by the way. Tarantino, that bastard. I'm pretty sure that ran 70 millimeter at IMAX in Bridgeport. But man, Bridgeport sucks. I hate that place.
Agreed.
Parking there was a absolute trash fire.
Oh yeah.
Hadn't been there in like over a decade, and I was like, last time I remember being here was like, it's kind of like Gresham Station, and it's like fine, but it's like kind of weird and like ritzy, I guess. Like not really ritzy, but like Urban Outfitters and like the Nike store that has things for way more than you want to spend because you usually go to the outlet mall or whatever. But yeah, parking was awful. We went through the parking garage, a full lap, nothing. And then we're just like circling the parking lot, ended up being late to the movie by like half an hour. So we got there right when the like previews stopped. So that was nice.
Oh,
But
cool.
I was just stressing out the entire time in the car, just like pissed and hot.
Why are all these dorks from Salem driving out to Bridgeport and not just going to fucking Clackamas?
I mean, I don't know.
That's very weird.
They probably wanted, I don't know. Might have been
IMAX.
they wanted to see IMAX. I
Yeah.
think that's the closest IMAX.
Oh, is it? I don't know. I've never seen an IMAX film
Ever?
ever.
I'd have to, yeah, it was fine. IMAX honestly was like worse than just like a regular Cinemark IMO. Like, oh yeah, you got some more verticality, but like there was no better, like the screen quality wasn't any better. It's just like, oh, it's 4:3 instead of 16:10.
It wasn't a
Info dump
real
about this
IMAX.
so hard. I was just gonna fucking say it's a Limax. It's not a real Limax. They're not a real IMAX. A lot of theaters will say they're IMAX and they use digital, like goodish quality digital production, but they literally just like move you closer to the screen. The definition actually isn't that much better. Like there's a whole fucking website where you can look up the theater. It'll give you the actual resolution. It'll give you the type of projector. It'll give you blah 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 blah. And it is a noticeable difference. Like we drove all the way to Atlanta, which is like a 5.5 hour drive to see Dune in a true IMAX screen because I was like, I will be goddamned if I see it in a IMAX. Second time I saw it was on a fake IMAX screen, and it was noticeably and demonstrably worse in both picture and sound quality. It's like if you really want to get hard about it, you got to check the charts.
I've been down a fucking rabbit hole with CRT TVs. I've acquired 5 of them this week. It's been crazy, much to Sarah's chagrin,
Oh,
as the
no.
garage fills up and my office fills up with little fucking tube TVs that I'm tearing apart. I was watching a DVD on one, testing out the different inputs, and I thought about this because I've been watching a lot of Tarantino clips, funny enough, on YouTube. They come through my shorts, and I've never liked Tarantino. I've tried to watch several of his films, and I've just never, it's just not for me. But I was thinking to myself, watching these clips, and I had the CRT TV out, and I was like, these shitty little boxes were the only way we had to watch movies. Now I have a 70-inch OLED TV with a sound system. Why the fuck do I need to go to a movie theater? Going to a movie theater fucking sucks. You're surrounded by goddamn people. One speaker is always fucking crackly in the corner. The projection's terrible. It is such a bad picture. Like, literally any consumer TV is better. It's smaller, but the fidelity is infinitely better at home than some shitty projection in a theater. I don't understand the appeal of movie theaters anymore. And I think maybe we've ranted about this in the past about how theaters have to get with the times and propose some sort of true alternate value. Like, why do I need to come to the theater? I can wait 2 months and I'll watch it at home. There's nothing appealing about this. I don't get it.
At this point, I mean, it just depends on if you're watching it off of Blu-ray or if you're streaming it, because obviously streaming,
Well, sure.
the artifacting is super bad, especially with films that have a lot of, not particle effects, because that's like a video game term, but things like that, like snow and rain, things that don't translate very well into a streaming format.
That just depends on what you're looking for, man. And like for me, I'm always thinking like a director, and so I'm like, I want to see it in the director's intended viewing, which is, like highest fidelity that I possibly can. If it was shot on IMAX cameras, I'm going to see it in IMAX, period. With some exceptions, if I'm like, I don't really give that big a shit about like Marvel schlock, I don't need to drive down and see that in IMAX. And also that I think that movie going has always been intended to be a communal experience, and it's really easy to poison that. I totally respect the fact that you'd be like, nope, I don't need to hear like 17 people crackling their fucking popcorn things every 6 seconds and what have you. But it's been rare for me with like, I've probably been to the movie theater like 150 times in the last 3 years. Honestly, that may even be a low estimate with how often we go. And I have only ever had like one, maybe two experiences that I could say were like genuinely negative because of audience behavior. Most of the time it's like, I'm focused, I'm locked in. And then having those crowd reactions, everybody like experiencing the same energy as they're going through like the journey of these different films. And it's not only just like whooping and hollering when like, Marvel shit happens, when like Andrew Garfield comes on screen in Spider-Man No Way Home, which was a fucking cool moment. But things like in The Last Jedi, when Holdo makes the hyperspace jump, and literally you could just feel the entire audience's collective breath just go out on how fucking breathtaking that shot was.
Holy shit out loud when that happened. The only cool part of that movie.
And that's part of it, right? Like they were feeling that holy shit. Everybody felt that holy shit, and you were the one who had the courage to vocalize it. That's fucking cool. So like it's very esoteric of me, but I look for that collective experience, and I'm really excited to have one at Oppenheimer on Thursday.
See, to me, that is like a laugh track in my sitcom. Like I don't need to be told what to feel in this moment, when to laugh. I don't need the audience's reaction. That distracts me. That takes me out of it. I'm like, and people will clap for something, and it just makes me mad. 'Cause I'm like, that was not clap worthy. Shut the fuck up.
This is why you hate going to the Blazer games, right?
Stop it.
That's why you hate going to a musical performance. You hate seeing bands live. Why wouldn't you just put on your headphones?
I do hate going to shows. I don't like shows because they are almost universally awful. There's too many people. The sound fucking sucks. People are throwing punches. It's terrible. Shows fucking suck. I hardly ever go to them, and when I do, I always leave being like, why the fuck did I pay for this? This sucked. Blazer games are different because there are like objective things to like cheer for. Ball going hoop, yay! And I'm standing up excited about it.
So you would prefer to be more easily manipulated.
Ball and hoop, good.
I remember the first time I ever was privy to an audience clapping, and it was episode 2, Attack of the Clones. We had a whole bunch of friends and family with us because we were celebrating my birthday, and we saw this movie in fucking theaters, and Yoda pulls his fucking thing to the side, and he force grabs his lightsaber, and the whole theater starts erupts fucking clapping. And here I am, like, I don't know, 10 years old, being like, these people are fucking idiots. Like, just angry that people were A, ruining my experience. Like, I'm trying to watch this fight and people are hollering at Yoda, and B, being like, that wasn't even cool. So from that early age, I was like, fuck this.
I didn't know the list of takes that just continue to pile up where I'm like, how can you continue to get like more wrong about things? It's just astonishing. Dad took me out of school, me and Josh, Joey was still too young, to go to an advanced screening that he had got tickets for at work. And Yoda, same fucking moment, Yoda pulls the lightsaber, this dude in the back row goes, oh, Yoda! And then just everybody was like,
so bad.
Just started going off. I mean, these fucking geeks had waited their entire lives after the first 3 Star Wars films to see Yoda slap ass with a lightsaber. It's a cool payoff.
See, I will say the one moment where I felt justified at an early age, realizing something was bad and feeling like, oh, people finally understand, was in episode 3, again, my birthday weekend. And we're watching episode 3, the whole scene of Anakin getting put back together. And it's like, gives you chills seeing him scream and smack the droids away. And you're like, dude, this is a sick sequence. And then, no. And I was just like, it's like one of the first times I can remember feeling secondhand embarrassment and acknowledging that that's what I was experiencing. And I was like, how could this be a thing? I'm 12 and I'm like secondhand embarrassed for Darth Vader, the most badass dude in media. Anyway, I fucking hate the movie theater. And to those who appreciate it, that's fine. I think the theater could be cool again but there needs to be a massive leap in the technology. And it'll never happen because it costs money and it's, they're dying.
I did appreciate seeing Barbie in the theater because it's a comedy. And I think comedies greatly benefit from being a group viewing experience, whether it be in a theater or with other people,
It's like watching Seinfeld,
Yeah, better with friends.
You want to hear my Seinfeld takes, Chris?
Never watched the show, so fire away.
Oh, good. Seinfeld fucking sucks. Anyway, that's 20 minutes on not video games.
Where would we be without EJ's opinions?
I mean, It is the beating heart that drives the discourse forward.
It's just like, what would World War II be without the Nazis?
Just be a border skirmish.
Chris, what's your week been like since last y'all spoke?
Oh, geez. I went down to Seward last weekend, which is a little fishing town. It's actually a pretty solidly sized commercial fishing port down the Kenai Peninsula, because the weather was going to be absolutely transcendent, and it was. It was not a cloud in the sky for 2 days, like 68 degrees, which I recognize like sounds...
Heat wave.
Well, it sounds extremely mid, but you got to remember that up in Anchorage we're so much further latitudinally that like the angle of the sunlight is so much more direct that 68 degrees is like really fucking hot. So it was like a perfect beach day. I'm really glad I brought my Switch. I almost didn't bring my Switch. I was thinking, because I was riding down with Justin Wiley from Gresham. Actually, he's up here for like a week and a half, and I was like, well, yeah, I want to like visit with him on the bus ride down, and I was like, well, I could like play, visit, and so I did. So I did bring my Switch again. Proved to be very, very good. Time to go get my bus. Comes in like an hour and 5 minutes on Sunday. Called the taxi service, and they're like, and we're on the opposite side of the bay from the city, which is literally like a 10 to 15 minute drive, but it's like, oh, you're on the other side of the bay. It's like a long fucking way to like local yokels. And the guy's like, oh, you're on the other side of the bay. I probably can't be out there for like hour 15. And I'm like, bro, my bus comes in an hour. Like that does not work. None of the other taxis are running. So Justin literally goes like running down the road to the campsite that's nearby to try and see if somebody could give me a ride. I go out to the side of the road with my bags and I literally hitchhike into Seward. Which is something I've never done before. Just like stuck my thumb up, and after like 3 or 4 cars, this elderly white guy log hair pulls over in a truck and waves, and he opens the door. First, NPR is playing, so I'm like, I'm probably not ending up in a hole somewhere. And I'm like, hey, I'm trying to get on a bus. Like the taxi kind of screwed me. I just need to get to the Gateway Hotel. And he's like, yeah, hop in. So I like pull my bags in. I'm like, I'm crazy. He's like, oh, I'm John. Like, good to meet you. Retired Forest Service worker, like 35 years in Arizona and Alaska. Really nice guy. We talked about theater, and he was like, that's great that you do that. I wish that the professional theater up here was still running. Like, really need it. It's got like great value to the community. It was awesome. So I'm all like, get off the get out of his
You
truck.
met yourself in 50 years.
He's like Bruce Willis and the Kid trying to set Chris on the fucking straight and narrow, dude.
Bruce Willis and Looper.
I got tenanted.
Bruce Willis has done a lot of weird time travel movies. What the fuck?
He's in at least 2. It isn't many, but
It's weird that it's happened twice. Why?
So I'm like coming down from the adrenaline high of I'm not making my bus and I'm in a stranger's car and I'm checking. Tiffany has my location accessed at all times, right? In case I have to bail out of the truck and run into the woods.
Oh my God.
And so I have a beer. I have time to have a beer at the little like tap house right next to the bus, and I go get on the bus. And 20 minutes after we leave, we are stopped behind an awful accident on the highway for 5 hours.
The bus, you said, not the old man.
The bus. Yes. So
Okay.
I made my bus, and then we got stuck.
5 fucking hours.
5 hours. Guess what, baby? It was a coach. I had seat back power, and I had my Switch. So I played Tears of the Kingdom for 7 straight hours.
You might actually beat this game in this week.
I am so close, and this is where I was segueing into, is that I have the only things I have left to do. I have to do the Spirit Temple. I still don't have the MacGuffin to get in the Spirit Temple. I need to do finish the sky in the Gerudo Highlands. I need to do the sky in the Gerudo Desert. And then I need to do Desert and Highlands Overworld and the Lightning Temple. That's it. That's all I have left. The Depths is done. All of 120 light roots. My Frox Medal is done. Master Koga's done. I'm on track for the shrines, obviously. I am, what's the other? I'm at like 878 Koroks or something. So like I'm solidly on pace. to be done with this game before I leave. And I'm hoping I am. I'm probably going to end. I'm going to get done. I'm going to get the last Korok seed I have stamped, and it's going to be like 997 or something. And I'm going to like fucking unalive myself with a toaster in the bathtub because I have to look over the entire map for where the missing seeds are. But I still think I can do it. I still think I could do it.
So what day do you fly back?
I fly back at 10 p.m. on Sunday. I will have a little bit of time to play in the airport before I get on the plane, but I need to go to sleep on the plane because it's a red eye.
I was going to ask, though, what are the odds that you finish it before Sunday and we can record and get your hottest takes before you have a whirlwind flight back home?
Really low, unfortunately. There is a world. I'm thinking of like, what does my week look like? I'm playing as soon as we get off this podcast. All I'm doing is playing. So it's very realistic that I could have the Gerudo Highlands done today. Tomorrow I'm doing I don't go too far down this rabbit hole, but I've committed to going like full tilt on this theatrical project next summer in Anchorage. That's going to be really fucking cool. And I'm meeting with the program chair at University of Alaska Anchorage tomorrow to look at their facilities and get to know him. But after that, I don't think I have anything, so I'll just be coming back and I will be playing games. And Thursday is Oppenheimer, and that's at like 6:30, so I may be able to play a little bit afterwards, but I'm probably not getting home until like 11. Friday, I'm doing shit pretty much the whole night. Saturday night, I'm doing something. Saturday morning and afternoon, I should be able to play. And Sunday, I'm not doing anything except packing. It's tight. It's possible. I think the more likely thing that's going to happen is that I'm going to literally get to the beginning of the final dungeon, and I'm going to stop until I get home so that I can play it on my glorious, gigantic television, because I'm not doing this fucking sequence on my OLED. Beautiful though the picture may be, this has to be done on my glorious, gigantic television when I get home. So that's probably what's going to happen, but we can't record next week until probably Tuesday anyway, because I'm going to be zonked on Monday after my flight, and I'm going to be 2 hours ahead of y'all again, which means it would be a late recording. But I think you will get my hottest takes next week. I think that we will be able to do Zelda download.
My ideal scenario is, since EJ and I have both played this game, and every day that separates us from that moment is a day in which that feeling fades, is I want you to hit credits, put your controller down, put your headphones in, and hop in a call. Like, that is my ideal scenario. That's what I would want more than anything in this world. And I realize that is not a whim that I can like machinate. I just have to hope that it kind of lines up. I
can try if I put my phone away when I'm playing.
Yeah, put that damn phone away
so that I don't get distracted. Like, literally every time I fast travel, I'll like look over and like scroll for a second. I'll be like, fuck, no, it's done. No, put your phone down. But I will have said goodnight to Tiffany probably before we're off this recording. And because she's in New York, and we'll be
Tiffany.
able to just play.
Night.
That's really kind of y'all. She's at a jazz show right now. I'll try, man. I'll try. I think I could do, if I could do the whole Highlands tonight, then I will feel like I could beat this game by Sunday. And we could potentially literally have me go from credits to call. I could literally move my whole setup over to my recliner in front of the television.
We can watch you beat the game.
Yes, live commentary.
You could literally be like rolling. I could literally be like rolling in a recording while I'm doing the last dungeon. How long is the last dungeon? Is it pretty straightforward?
Like before final boss?
Yeah.
Pretty straightforward. There's like some set piece moments, but it's not like a whole to do.
Okay, so like less than a half hour.
Nick, how long did it take you to beat the boss? Like once you were fighting the boss?
Maybe 20 minutes to a half hour.
Wow, really?
That sounds about right.
And then the lead up to that was longer than I thought it would be, but it was also not like a dungeon.
It was long.
It depends. I think Chris will blow through pretty quickly.
Well, Chris is going to be pretty OP by that point. I know people
I'm already OP.
Well, yeah. I know people who played this game for like 50, 60, 70 hours and went into the final boss encounter and got their shit rocked.
I'm going to have fully upgraded armor, which I'm squarely on track to also have done by Sunday. There's going to be a couple, like anything that involves fish. I know I said that last week, but anything that involves fish will not be fully leveled until I get back to Bowling Green. But the armor that I use all the time, my Fierce Deity set's fully leveled up. I've been running around in that for like 3 days, just absolutely wailing on shit. Like, that armor is broken at max level.
Yeah, I had that maxed out. I don't think it's something you can do in Tears of the Kingdom, but I saw a video from Breath of the Wild of someone using Cryonis and like walking through like freezing spots on like rivers and like ocean banks and whistling to scare fish onto the beach. And they would just all like line up on the beach, and then he just ran through and picked fish.
That's
It seemed pretty fucked up.
Just scan a couple amiibos and you'll fucking drop fish like nobody's business.
I don't have my amiibo cards up here. I have a full set.
Mr. Moneybags pay to win NFC card dupes off Alibaba or whatever.
I programmed my own, dude. During COVID for Animal Crossing, I bought like a $100 Android phone that had an NFC read writer in it. And I bought a bunch of little NFC tags for like $5 on Amazon.
Totally normal behavior.
Come on, I wanted my specific villagers. You think I'm gonna go fucking grinding Nook tickets to go find the 1 in 200? No.
You want Raymond like everybody else.
He needs his
No,
dreamy.
I don't like Raymond. I like she's a strawberry rhino. Is it meringue? Now I gotta go fucking make sure. I don't even know.
I think so. Yeah, that
I
sounds
don't
right.
care that much about the villagers. I'm trying to
I don't care that much. I just spent $100 on a phone and bought a million NFC cards so I could make these fake ones so I could get exactly what I wanted. But I don't care that much.
what, $100 phone? What is that? It's not $1,000 phone.
Well, it's a $60 game, and now you've spent like another $105. So
How many Switches have I bought?
Too many.
You're sick.
For someone who hates the Nintendo Switch.
It is. I don't hate the Switch.
I know, but you do bitch about it a lot.
Because there's a lot of things to bitch about.
That means he gets to bitch 5 times as much because he's experienced 5 times as much bitchy behavior.
I put my money where my mouth is. All right. I say to the man with 9,000 Switch games on his wall.
Yeah, we know where your mouth is and what's in it.
Oh, baby. I told y'all that I was at the beach last week. I went ham, guys. I packed up the Wii and the PS2. I took every GameCube, Wii, PS1, and PS2 game that I own, including 2 full-size Guitar Hero 2 sets, to the coast with me. And my brother hauled out the old CRT TV that was in my dad's shop. He unstrapped the thing from the big wall mount he had out there and hauled that thing to the beach so that we could plop down. It was me and Andrew and Daniel and C-Pow, and we just fucking rocked. We played a lot of retro shit, but mostly Guitar Hero, to the point that we had like blisters forming on our fingers from freaking, dude, Through the Fire and the Flames, just sliding up and down that neck, dude. Just
so far away.
that game needs to be higher on our top 100.
Guitar Hero.
Which one did we put on? 3 or 2?
Well, I think
2.
we put 2 in. Fire in the Flames is 3, homie.
It is 3. We played both. 3. I have to go back and like look at the track list and compare them, but
I like
3
3
3 and 2
better.
are both interchangeable as far as I'm concerned.
3 is the first one that they had masters for. They didn't do covers.
Correct.
Yeah, which made a big difference.
No, 2 they had original original masters as well. Only on the
some of the bonus
post
songs.
game.
Yeah, I can't remember. But 3, yeah, all the songs are masters, which is cool and makes a big difference. But dude, what just an expertly crafted rhythm game. Like everything about it just makes so much sense. So my brother was always better at Guitar Hero than me. I would be on hard and he would be on expert and we'd get through games, and some songs I'd dip into expert. But we jump in and he's like, I'm not a pussy. And he goes straight to expert. I'm like, okay, here we go. And it's shocking how quick you pick it back up. It really is like riding a bike.
Yeah, I would rock your world on expert easy.
I believe it. I was never particularly good at those games, partly because I like dabble with guitar and my brain wants to do certain things. And even on expert, there's like rhythms missing. So you get like locked into what the song is doing. And then you're not actually strumming that. And so I get all fucked up. You should see what a travesty I am playing Rock Band drums on expert. It's not a thing. It is impossible. I understand how saturated that market was after its boom, but my God, they fumbled the fucking bag with that franchise. But I mean, both of them. Rock Band was big too. Get a little too big for its britches. I didn't like the singing and all that crap. I'm a Guitar Hero guy through and through, but they really fucked up the perfect formula. And of course, like I said, oversaturating the market had something to do with it. But when they tried to revive the franchise, and it was just not remotely anything like the game that we grew up loving, and it tried to get too technical and took things from dude, what's that guitar like teaches you how to play guitar?
Rocksmith.
And I didn't fully understand why they did the controller overhaul for Guitar Hero Live. That seemed like an unforced error. It seemed like that wasn't the thing that was necessary to revitalize the franchise. And then, I mean, Rock Band, I think Rock Band still puts out DLC for Rock Band 4. I think that was the last one they made. But
Wow.
Guitar Hero, I mean, it's just one of those things that it feels like that franchise has a chance of coming back through the Microsoft purchase, because that seems like a Game Pass game that you could keep plugging in like DLCs into a live service kind of format, and it would just go on in perpetuity. But I think that is a game that has dollar signs written all over it, and then that's really easy to like fuck up with, especially in that time when it was the advent of smartphone gaming and how much that market was exploding with like the whale economy. Yeah, it's the music rhythm games and the plastic accessories, and they started just taking up space, and people were moving on to the next thing and moving on to mobile games and Wii and stuff like that. I don't know. I don't know why it fell apart, but I feel like I only really dipped in at the very beginning there. Like I played Guitar Hero 2 and 3 on PS2 when there was actually, 360 versions of those games too. And yeah, those games fucking rule. Wish they're still around. I mean, they kind of are. I mean, Clone Hero is a thing, and like there's very popular YouTubers that do all those ridiculous charts that are more of like a show off, like check out how many things I can do at once. But I remember there was a pretty strong modding scene for that game as well. I remember going over to Jordan Markoff's house and playing Trivium songs on his modded Guitar Hero 3 game, like that was sick as hell. I loved that.
Right now, the problem is that no one is manufacturing guitars. So
totally. They're super expensive.
Right. And it's becoming more and more dire, especially the wireless ones that are compatible with PC. I went OG, like I went out and bought two. One of them was brand new, sealed in box. Just two corded classic red SGs. And my brother swears that we had Guitar Hero 3 with the wireless dongle and shit. I don't really remember that, but like kind of vaguely remember like the neck detaching. It's like we must have had it, but anyway, he swears by it. I don't really remember it. I was like, on the PS2, we had a wireless guitar on PS2, but I looked it up. They do exist. So anyway, the week before we left for the beach, I was randomly like I had my Game Boy. I was hanging out. Sarah was house sitting, and I was over there with her. And I was just flipping through the games on my EverDrive, and I saw American Idol. Okay, like that's kind of bullshit. Just the shovelware got pumped out for all these systems.
Oh God, yeah,
dude. I played through American Idol twice to completion and fucking liked it, dude.
What?
It is a fucking straight up rhythm game where you get to like create a character, do the American Idol gauntlet. And depending on how well you do the songs, you'll make it to the next round until you get all the way to the end. Like your character is in the center of the screen, and there's a wheel, and there's a little fucking meter that's spinning around, and it's just a rhythm game. And it starts off really easy, A, B, A, B. And it gets progressively harder as you go. But all the songs are like legitimately licensed songs. There's NSYNC and Britney Spears and fucking Livin' La Vida Loca and all these like hits from the 2000s, licensed and playing back out of the Game Boy Advance's shitty speaker. And if you screw up a note, you get the timing wrong, or even if you there are sections where you're holding the buttons and you have to release at a certain time. If you get those slightly wrong, the pitch of your singing will change. So you'll be like, bye, bye, bye. It's so fucking funny. And Sarah's sitting here listening to me play it. And I'm just cracking up at this awful fucking game. I'm like, maybe I like rhythm games, bro. Maybe theater rhythm's in my future, dude.
I was just going to say, bro. Oh. Sounds like you need to get theater rhythm final bar line.
Oh, the demo was... I didn't love it. There was too much going on. My hands are too big. I'm like, I don't know how you expect me to press these and let go of that and then press that at the same time with just the hand that I have on this side of the controller.
Have you guys played Tarzan the Platformer on PS1?
A little bit.
Nope.
A classic Disney platformer.
I think I played it over at your place for a little bit.
Probably.
Back when we also did the what was the racing game?
Oh,
the dinosaurs?
is it like Littlefoots? It's a
Lamba 4-time racing.
It's Land Before Time, like big or Great Valley Racing or something like that. I think that's what it is.
What a good game.
I wanted to call it like Littlefoot's Lightfoot.
Just dinosaurs running.
Yeah, literally. He's just running really fucking fast.
Way Before Time Great Valley Racing Adventure.
Yeah, that's right.
Complete in box 750. Yo.
How much is Disney Adventure or Disney, the racing on PS1? Magical, I forget what it's called.
Magical World. Magical Jewels. Magical Racing Tour.
Disney Racing PS1. I gotta find out. I'll recognize
Walt
the
Disney
cover.
World Quest Magical Racing Tour.
I think it's Magical Racing Tour.
Yeah, there's a Game Boy version of that game too, just so you know.
I always loathe the Game Boy
It's got Chip and Dale on the cover.
Yeah,
It's an
bro.
Eidos joint. It's by the same people that brought us Gex.
Did they do Doom? Nice
Nice,
throwback. I hope this is a cheap game because this is one of the few I need to add to my collection here.
Yeah, it's fine. It's $20 complete.
Okay, beautiful. Yeah, Andrew and I love this game. There were so many secrets to find. It was less about racing and it was more about finding the secrets, you know? Because we love Disneyland. We went twice in our youth. It was literally the most magical place on earth. And this game was like Disneyland in our basement.
Since we're talking about licensed racing games, I did also want to mention that in the news this week, DreamWorks, or I don't know who announced this, probably Game Mill, announced a DreamWorks All-Star Racing kart racing game.
Are these kart racers just so easy to shit out that anyone...
Yeah, yes.
Oh,
The
God.
crossover kart racer will span 2 decades of the DreamWorks cinematic catalog, borrowing characters from the Shrek and How to Train Your Dragon
Shrek.
films, as well as Megamind and The Bad Guys. And I also see Kung Fu Panda and the Trolls. It's going to be a good game.
Okay, if they can actually get Mike Myers and
Oh, yeah.
Antonio Banderas and
For you, baby, I could be.
Eddie Murphy, dude, like bring them back. I'm here for it. Well, anyway, we played a lot of all sorts of random retro stuff, like some really, really bad stuff. Like we busted out the ATV Off-Road Fury, you know, the kind of crap, the schlock that you got for $19.99 at Kmart.
Crap and schlock.
Hey,
Oh, Kmart. Oh,
you want to talk about the dregs of fucking Gresham, Oregon, brother?
oh God.
Kmart.
Oh, yeah. There's a Kmart on 122nd that got burnt down last week.
Oh,
Made
really?
The AQI up in the 90s.
Wait, the Kmart was still there, or was the formerly the Kmart?
One on 122nd, a different Kmart, but it was also a vacant building.
Yeah,
And some people that were living in it ended up burning it down.
that was the Super K, back by Trevor's house.
It's all the same thing.
No.
Yeah.
We had a regular Kmart. They had the Super K, or the Big K. It was bigger and better. Okay.
I don't know the size of this K. All I know is that it was a Kmart at one point in the past.
Yeah.
And was then just a husk of a building, which burned down.
I have this memory that I've told about buying Pokemon Crystal at Target, and I'm suddenly having this existential crisis of like, is everything I know a lie? And maybe that was actually Kmart. I'm pretty sure it was Target, but it might have been Kmart, which would undo everything I've ever known.
Pretty sure my Pokemon Silver purchase was from Target, and then we went to Tower Records because my brother wanted to buy a CD, and I got to start the game at Tower Records.
Do you remember Wednesdays at the park?
Yeah, totally.
I remember a lot of Wednesdays at the park and how my mom would never let me bring my video games. And every week it was like, well, what if Nick brings his video games and we can link trade? We weren't allowed to bring video games to Wednesdays at the park. We go outside, play with the ducks. Mom, I just want to trade fucking Pokemon.
Just doing laps at the park because there's literally nothing to do.
That's
Literally.
tyranny. That's tyranny.
Dude.
Link cable trading is the epitome of a millennial childhood.
Trading is close to communism, though.
Okay, well, I'm not touching that. I'll never forget like finishing my yellow version Pokedex in the back seat of my friend John's car as his mom is driving me to drop me back off at my house. I'm like, we have to trade faster because we didn't budget our time well when I was actually sleeping over and getting the diploma. Like I'm pulling into my house. I'm like, Professor Oak's like, congratulations. I'm like, yes.
You get that Game Boy printer to make it real.
Dude, I have one, and I thank you for reminding me that I need a copy of Pokemon Yellow so that I can complete the Pokedex and print the diploma and fucking frame it, and I will keep it with me.
Laminate it.
A tiny little frame, and I will keep it forever. Thank you for reminding me that this is on my all-time gaming bucket list.
Put it above your college graduation, your like MBA or whatever.
MBA, kiss my ass. If there was an MBA, I would have had it 7 years ago.
You've given me a new purpose in life, Chris. I need that. But I need to complete the Pokedex without cheats. No missing, though. No item dupe. No.
Yeah, easy. It's like a 40-hour venture right there.
Yeah, bro, it's not even that hard.
Gen 1, Gen 2, easy.
I think I did my blue version Pokedex in like maybe less than 30 hours.
Listen, call it the Crusade Challenge, okay? I'm going to buy everybody fresh copies, okay? And we're going to fucking do it. We're going to put your money where your fucking mouth is.
Let's do it.
Console Crusade fucking Diploma Cast.
Finally, something I'm qualified to speak on this podcast.
First time I ever can remember trading, I was getting picked up to go see, this must have been third or fourth grade, I started seeing a counselor because I was off the rails. Shout out to Barbenheimer. So I'd get picked up early from school, right? Which was fucking awesome. You getting pulled out of class and, you know, it's like you go see your counselor and you bitch about your day and then you get taken out to lunch and then you don't go back to school. It was amazing. I remember borrowing my best friend at the time, Ari Sandu. He let me borrow his Game Boy and I was like, listen, I have an hour, right? Well, not even have an hour. I'm going to be gone. I'm leaving in an hour and I'm going to be in the car for 15 minutes there and back, right? I remember like being in the back seat trying to trade my freaking Haunter and my freaking Graveler, trying to trade my Pokemon and get them back to me in the backseat of a bumpy fucking minivan, praying to God that I don't unplug the cord at the wrong time. And starting this affair before I got to my appointment and then having to leave my Game Boys gingerly in the back straps, like the pocket behind the driver's seat, like gingerly plugged in, turned on, hoping that the battery didn't die, hoping something didn't happen while my mom was driving, come back, finish it in the back seat of the car before my mom dropped back off at Ari's house after school so that I could give him his Game Boy back. Talk about the most stressful thing in a fourth grader's life. Third grade? I don't know how old. It was third or fourth grade, but
it's basically the plot to a Mission Impossible movie.
It's harrowing.
It truly was. That is also when I found out that your Pokemon does not evolve before you trade it. So it doesn't register in your Pokedex. You have to trade it back and then trade it back again if you were trading for keepsies. So it's fucking bullshit.
You got to go Haunter for Haunter, bro. Like, everybody knows that.
We're 31, man. I was but a boy then. I hardly had the internet. Okay?
Yeah, you had maybe some printouts from GameFAQs if you were lucky.
GameWinners.com. GameWinners.com. That's where I went.
GameFAQs household, bro. GameFAQs all day. I still go to GameFAQs, dude. I've literally, in my adult life, printed out GameFAQs guides, printed them physically in my 20s, walkthroughs for things like Dragon Ball Z Legendary Super Warriors, a complete unlock guide, because that is not a game that you can just 100% the first time you play it unless you're following a guide. Good luck.
You printed it?
Oh, dude, 1,000%. I'm a boomer,
It's probably
dude.
before you had an iPhone.
No. This is like, I live in Eugene when this happened.
Oh.
This is, yeah. No,
Yeah. I don't know about that then.
That's sick. I did that when I was in high school.
No, I need to have something that I can reference in front of my face. I can cross things off with blue ink pen, and it helps me process.
Okay, boomer.
Okay? I still read physical books, and I highlight in them with pink highlighter, Chris, and I underline things in
Highlighting books?
blue ink pen.
You sicko.
I have to make sure to remember this passage from The Hobbit. Gotta highlight it.
Literally, dude, like saving things that I appreciate how they're worded, things that I've never heard before, words that I need to look up after a chapter. I don't like looking up in the middle of a passage. You know, sort of context clue, you figure out what a difficult word means, but I look up the definition later, you know?
Yeah, they have a bevy of them.
A veritable dearth.
I need to highlight these. Hang on, stop. Hang on. Okay. Heavy
Okay.
dearth. I will Google this after the pod.
Anyway, let's jump over to this FTC Microsoft thing that's finally kind of resolved. You guys kind of talked about it last week. Needs to be sort of deep dive on it this week. It's a little out of my pay grade, guys. I've caught up on things, but mostly just have thoughts on like the principle of the matter. I'm not particularly interested in like all the legalese, and it's just, does Microsoft get to buy Activision or not? But Nick, if you want to kick us into it and talk through some of the stuff that's happened, that would be a swell.
Well, yeah, I mean, I can give you like a totally quick summation of the thing, but last year we got the news, like early in the year last year, we got the news that Microsoft was attempting to purchase Activision-Blizzard King for a whopping 68 something billion dollars, which puts it in the pantheon of like some of the largest mergers and acquisitions of all time. And obviously a bunch of different governmental bodies had to, sniff it out and see if it passes muster and see if this is like, is this stepping towards a monopoly? Is this vertical integration? What does this mean for the market at large? Because the video games market is a very large one and very important to a lot of people's bottom line. And it seems like the largest pushback against it was in the UK and the US. The UK a little bit more strongly than the US. The UK's Competition and Markets Authority, the CMA, their sort of version of the FTC, went after it from the vantage point of cloud gaming and that market and what it means in the future, since Microsoft has a large share of that market and is almost a monopoly in that regard because of their sort of leveraging Game Pass as a method of doing a cloud-based subscription service. And what you think of that is kind of just like up to you, but it's more just looking at the future. Like, what does this mean in the next 10 years? Like, is this going to like say that how Netflix had a very strong stranglehold over the streaming market for video, would Microsoft have that for cloud video gaming in the future? And then the FTC trial started, like a few weeks ago. And a lot of their arguments were hinging more around Call of Duty and what that means to the current status quo, which is Sony paying for a lot of exclusivity, like early access to maps and co-marketing agreements. And if Microsoft buys Activision-Blizzard, the creators of Call of Duty, the sellers of Call of Duty, how is that going to affect Sony and what does that mean for competition in that market? And the judge, and rightfully, I think, from my perspective, sort of saw that as this isn't really a problem for the market and for the competition. It's mostly just a problem for Sony, and they are the market leader. So if anything, this is increasing the market share for this one particular franchise because Microsoft has already made agreements with NVIDIA and their cloud platform, with Nintendo, with a few other cloud platforms that are more popular in other countries that I can't name, but saying if this deal goes through, Call of Duty will be more accessible on more platforms than prior, where it's only on PC, Xbox, and PlayStation. So the judge ruled that the FTC's claims were like without merit, and the FTC was going to appeal, but then that also got shot down. So this was going to, like, the cutoff point with like a large purchase like this. Basically, they say we have to make this deal go through by a certain date, or else we have to pay you a bunch of money because we wasted a lot of people's times. There's big investors in both these companies. So the previous deadline was July 18th, and that got pushed back 3 months to allow them to negotiate further with the CMA, the UK group, and see if they can get some terms set down that is mutually beneficial for both of them. And this is like all but like signed and done. It's just what are the little things that Microsoft has to give up to make it more palatable in the UK.
The FTC justifying its own existence here with this case. Obviously,
certainly
very high profile. Obviously, like you said, one of the largest acquisitions in the history of money. Yeah, almost $70 billion.
Especially in entertainment. The entertainment purchases, I'm looking at like a list of really big mergers and acquisitions, and a lot of them are not in entertainment. It's a lot of, sort of like AOL buying Time Warner back in the 90s was a big one. But then everything else besides that, it's like oil companies, it's food companies like Kraft and Heinz, or Keurig and Dr. Pepper.
Interesting.
But, yeah, it's not necessarily entertainment companies in the like tens of billions of dollars.
I know, Chris, last week you had expressed like some distaste for the idea of these entertainment conglomerates and the idea that they could be inching closer to a monopoly. But I just personally cannot bring myself to give a shit. This isn't healthcare. This isn't insurance. This isn't affecting how we are distributing it and acquiring our food. To me, it doesn't matter. I don't care, I guess. To me, it just is going to force the other 2 or 3 massive companies to like be better, I guess.
I'll tell you what it's going to force them to do. It's going to force them to buy more companies, which is already what's been happening. And Microsoft's been the most high profile about it. But a lot of the Sony tent poles that we look to every year is their like really, really good AAA offerings are studios that they have purchased. And I think that it's only going to make it worse. I think that when that 10-year contract for Call of Duty expires, it's never coming to another console again. It is going to be a Microsoft exclusive game. And it's just gonna keep the arms race up. And I was not optimistic that this actually was going to get struck down in court, because this is one of the most like corporate friendly iterations of most government agency in a post like Trump presidency world that we've had in a long time. But I'm still sort of like, oh great, like my one hope that the arms race might slow down a little bit has now been snuffed out. And I'm already like butthurt right now that I'm not going to get to play Starfield because I don't have an Xbox. And I'm just like, I'm not buying that machine for one game. I'm just not going to do it. I'm just not going to play Starfield. Now I'm definitely not going to do it because like, fuck them for stocking up on all these fucking studios. Like,
You bought a PS5?
the product is going to get worse. I bought the PS5 because there's a fuckload of games on the PS5 that I can play.
Because they bought a bunch of studios and have a bunch of exclusives. Now there's a reason to own exclusive hardware. Whereas Microsoft, by all accounts, they don't care about selling you a console.
I've owned Sony consoles since literally the PlayStation 1. Like, I've always been a Sony gamer. And I know that, and they've consistently turned out really high quality offerings in genres of games that I am more likely to play is the big thing. Like, I bought a PlayStation 3 to play Final Fantasy 13 and Assassin's Creed. That is why I bought a PS3. That's why I bought a PS4, was to be able to play the other Assassin's Creed games, was to be able to play, hilariously.
Not Sony exclusives, by the way.
Well, sure, that's fair. But they were more powerful
Final Fantasy
machines.
16 is a PS5 exclusive.
Yeah, that is also, that's an exclusive.
Without buying Square, but that seems like a likelihood in the future in the next year or so.
Well, and I don't think that happens if there was a chance that the arms race could be de-escalated. So no, I think it's bad. I think it's bad. I think that Microsoft, like, hopefully they learned a lesson from Redfall to actually like give a fuck about the things under their umbrella. But there's so many fucking things under their umbrella. Like, I think we're going to get more stuff like that where they're just like, whatever, y'all just keep doing what you're doing. And if there's like anybody who's not steering the ship correctly, it's just going to fucking crash and burn. No way it doesn't when the studio is looking over it directly. That Arcane would have been like, this game sucks, we want to remake it, which the devs expressed a desire to want to do. And Microsoft's like, no, it's fine, just publish it.
It seems like a lot of middle management hell, which is like a lot of large corporations. But I'd have to double check and look at the pie chart that I saw. But I think this this increases the headcount under Microsoft, like their gaming division, by like 50%. Like, it's a huge influx of people. And I don't know what the strategy is there as far as what is their middle management policy going to be? How much decision making will Microsoft have over Activision-Blizzard? Like, if they are a ship that is running fine, then like that's one thing, but obviously they have not been. They've been in the news for plenty of things in the past few years. And I wonder how much, like how heavy of a hand on the steering wheel will they be taking?
It's easy to sit here and predict like the doom and gloom and expect that no matter what Microsoft does, it's going to be bad because they haven't had a great track record. And even though they've pivoted away from sort of the console wars, and rightfully so. Again, you could sell however many units you want hardware wise, and you're not making any money. You're taking a bath on the hardware. It's all about how do you sell people software, and they've already pivoted into a successful medium, and they will continue to do that. So I don't think they really care. The idea that Call of Duty could be exclusive is silly. I think making Starfield exclusive is silly. You know, I think in 10 years, it's more likely that Microsoft Game Pass is on fucking PlayStation as a service that you know what I mean? Like,
only if PlayStation is desperate.
We'll see. But to me, these big companies, these big studios, entire purpose is to make games and sell games. They have an incentive to fucking make good games so they can sell more games, right? So like when Sony buys up these studios, like Sony exclusives have largely just been nothing but like the greatest games of a generation. And I know it's easy to say like, well, they don't need to acquire the studios in order to like fund or have their hands in the pot of exclusive titles. But like, it just makes it easier for all involved. I don't care how the things go on the business side as long as like we're still getting good games. And this merger is obviously lighting a fire under, like, reading some of the leak emails from Sony. Yeah, this is lighting a fire under their ass because like this could be the beginning of Microsoft taking this larger chunk of the market share and coming back from a decade of having shot themselves in the foot over and over and over and over and over. Competition is good. This is competition. And you say, oh, well, now there's only going to be X amount of names in this space. I don't know. Maybe. Activision-Blizzard wasn't exactly on top of the fucking world prior to this, like you said, Nick. Like, they've been kind of floundering and having their issues. Maybe it doesn't work out. And before we recorded, you said, like, well, it's like Disney buying Star Wars. Yeah, it's easy to look at something that has failed spectacularly from a, obviously from a financial standpoint, they've made their money back and then some. So it has not been a failure on their part at all, but creatively it feels a little bankrupt and maybe it hurts the fans.
Are those the kind of games you want to play? Do you want to play Disney Star Wars quality games from a major studio like Activision?
Well, none
Blizzard?
of us are really like super invested in Activision Blizzard games as it is.
Diablo
like the current
just
foray
dropped.
of like new games.
And we talked about it on this podcast, and I'm going to be playing it. Like,
Yeah, and there's already like people bitching about how the new season is like hot garbage and how you can't even earn enough currency from the battle pass to pay for the next one, which is like is like the default for every battle pass is like to keep people playing. So I mean, for every game you could mention as being like, oh yeah, they just put this game out and people love it. They're gonna hate it in 3 weeks anyway, so it doesn't fucking matter. Look at Overwatch 2, look at Hearthstone, look at Call of Duty Warzone. I mean, the list goes on. But that's just like the game you play when you're talking about these live service games, and these big publishers, these mega publishers are leaning on. And that's, I think, the problem with a lot of the competition and like Sony competing in that way is you look at their business plan for the next decade. It's like, yeah, we've got a dozen live service games. And how much does that excite you? You watch the trailer for that. Oh God, I can't remember the name of it. The one with the dollar sign that they just announced in the last like big like showcase. Like that was their hot opening act. And it just looks like some bad Payday clone.
Yeah.
Or you've got like a teaser for some game that is another shooter, but has no gameplay. It's like, oh yeah, you can look forward to this. You can look forward to the next Last of Us or the next game from the Last of Us series and the creators to be some like, microtransaction live service game that they just want to keep you playing. Do your nightlies, do your dailies, play with your friends, and spend some money. Like it doesn't give me a lot of confidence in what Sony's idea of success is.
At the end of the day, the live service game isn't going anywhere, and it's not for us. And it sucks to see IPs that we love get
low
flushed
risk,
down
high
the toilet.
reward.
Totally, but like
Churn and burn, fail fast.
Look at how amazing this year has been for video games. Video games aren't going anywhere, dude. And so to me, this just drives competition between the people who have the most resources to make the biggest scope video games, which again trickles down to like our enjoyment. You know what I mean? So to me, it's I don't know. I guess if Microsoft buys Sony, maybe then we got a fucking problem, and maybe this is just the sign of things to come. But
yeah, but it's going to get to the point where other big companies are going to make other big purchases. Like in the next 5 years, I wouldn't be surprised to see Apple buying. Like Apple already, there's like rumors about Apple buying Disney. There's rumors about Amazon buying Take-Two and getting 2K and Rockstar. Stuff like Google trying to actually get in by like, I don't know, fucking EA, Tencent by Ubisoft. I mean, all these things are a possibility and likely.
yeah.
So what does that mean? I mean, would you rather it be Microsoft, who seems like they are trying to win goodwill, or is it Amazon, who does not give a shit about your goodwill and has like shown that to be their MO?
None of them give a fuck about goodwill. None of them
I think Microsoft definitely gives a fuck about goodwill.
No, they fucking don't. They care about your dollars. And if they can convince you that they care about
You can't get your
goodwill,
dollars without your goodwill.
Yeah, they don't care about it like touchy-feely. They don't care about us, but they care because they know that translates to dollars.
Yeah, it's an optics thing. As long as they think that being optically good guys means more dollar signs, then that's fine. Like, I want them to be good guys. I want these companies to be less harmful. And if that is through the collective willpower of our dollars, then sure. I don't care what their reasoning is, as long as they do the good thing.
A pretty fucking substantial series of efforts for me to actually care. And like removing Bobby Kotick, like we talked about last week.
You also don't care because you don't have an Xbox, so it doesn't matter to you.
If you wanted me to care, I would need to see something more substantive than removing a CEO that was already going to leave pre-transition and then continued to stay longer because of the transition into the acquisition. Like,
citation needed as far as him getting axed. Like, that was not on the board.
This is what I'm saying when I say Xbox doesn't care about the console market. There are 1.7 billion people on the planet playing games on their PC. 1.7 billion people who give a shit. What happens in that ecosystem?
I don't know if I believe that. I believe that as far as like mobile, but I do not believe that as far as PC. And like, what is the scope of that? Because I like actually checking out the. I know it's very Western focused because Steam is a very Western platform, but checking out the Steam survey they do and seeing what the like median PC specs are, I think that lends a lot of credence as far as like the big AAA games that you're talking about, EJ, the stuff that you get from Activision, from first party Microsoft and Sony and Nintendo. Like I think that bears some weight, but I don't know about, pure just like large numbers. Like, yeah, it's a big market. A lot of people are playing on PC, a lot of people are playing on cell phones, a lot of people are playing just on like netbooks, like whatever, like playing solitaire on your shitty Android from 2006. That's still gaming, but I don't know how much of a market that should be like focused on by the big, first party developers. I don't know. It's a weird and complicated thing. And obviously, I don't know. I wasn't rooting for anyone to buy. Like, it doesn't matter to me that Microsoft gets Activision. I'm not playing Activision games anyway. So it's just sort of like wow, this is a big thing that's happening in the space, and it shapes, like Chris, like you're saying, this shapes the mergers and acquisitions economy as far as like, oh, they just bought someone big, we need to buy someone big. It's been a war of escalation for the past few years, but also I don't know how long this continues because interest rates are just like going super high. They were low a few years ago. They were lower, a lot lower last year when this deal started. I mean, already looking at the inflation on this, it started out as a $68 billion deal, and that's a $74 billion year just through inflation. So like, getting while the getting's good. I don't know.
So stepping away from the fact that Chris doesn't own an Xbox or gaming PC, you don't play Activision games. What does it mean, Chris? You think that this is bad for gamers? This is bad for the idea of like quality titles continuing to be, invested in?
My largest concern is that it's going to result in an increased number of smaller studios getting snapped up and not being able to continue to create the kind of more like carefully curated and unique experiences that someone like you, Nick, specifically in our group, really fucking enjoy. That is my biggest concern.
I look at it through the opposite lens. I think that a buyout like this, after people do their like 1 or 2 years contract deals, they get paid. A lot of those people end up leaving and starting new studios. Think of Respawn, developers of one of EJ's favorite games of all time with Titanfall 2. They made the Star Wars Jedi games that both of you really, really like. They spun off of, what was that, Infinity Ward? And they started their own studio. Yeah, they ended up getting bought by EA, but I think this is part of the cycle where these big developers, they grow and they grow, they get bought, and then the talent that made the studio are spread out like seeds from a flower, and they start new studios that get venture capital, and then they start the process over again. And I think that's part of the current economy of this sort of level of video game production. I don't know if that's necessarily what I want to be happening in perpetuity. I don't know how viable that is in the long term, but that's how it's been working, and we've gotten the fruits of that.
Well, that's what I'm saying is I'm thinking about like what's 5 years, what's 10 years, what's 15 years in an industry that's still like in its infancy, basically.
Yeah, people are like dying and retiring all the time, and it's nascent. It's very young.
It feels like this feels like a massive inflection point in the industry, like an acquisition of this scale with a company that was considered like one of the major publishers out there. I mean, there's just nothing like the closest thing that I think we could even really compare this to is Microsoft buying ZeniMax and Bethesda, where we already like, damn, that was like a major independent game studio that got bought. And now they're topping that with like Blizzard, which is a titan in the industry. Of course, like, gaffes and recent faceplants notwithstanding. That's a big
especially
name.
for like a publicly traded company. I think Bethesda was privately held, which makes it a lot easier to buy.
That's true. With regards to Kotick, by the way, I did do a little bit of citation checking. And it was like late 2021 when the state of California was pretty much coming after them specifically. I think it was their like housing authority, and a whole bunch of really incriminating shit had come to light that Kotick had actively protected a sexual harasser from being fired. They have a voicemail on him threatening to kill an assistant who was trying to bring information to light. The board did still support him, but a non-negligible and growing number of shareholders in the company as well as employees were like actively calling for his resignation. So I'm not saying that like it would have happened.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, that's a well-known activist shareholder. That, I mean, yes, by all means, like use your shareholder stakes to call for change, but that was a very, very small minority of people and would not actually affect Bobby Kotick's like likelihood of sticking around.
You guys talked about Bobby Kotick last week, and you said, "Oh, the average person knows who that is." I didn't know who he was. They're not directly related to creating games. I don't know who the suits are. I tuned it out. This whole FTC thing, I've tuned out for months.
Yeah, I wouldn't say that the average person knows, but like if you read about video games at all, then you've probably heard Bobby Kotick and like the fucking nightmare shit he gets up to.
I was going down the rabbit hole this week after listening to your podcast last week. I was like, what the fuck?
Really good. I think it was Washington Post did like a really good expose on him and like his like weird. He had a like weirdly public breakup with someone who was like on the board for Facebook or something. I don't know. Just a total fucking weird dirtbag guy.
Shout out to Gene Park with the Washington Post. The only person covering video games in traditional mainstream media.
Trad media, if you will.
I get the feeling that this like Starfield exclusivity thing is dipping the toes in the water, so to speak. Seeing, I don't know how they sort of compare this because they haven't released something of this scale in this sort of iteration of the market, like with PC gaming sort of as big as it is in 2023, and Game Pass having been a thing for several years now. So I don't really know how you sort of evaluate it properly, but I feel like they're testing the waters of like, is it worth bringing things exclusive or is it negligible and we should play nice because that'll mean more money for us? And again, it's hard to talk about these things like objectively, I guess, because I have a gaming PC and a PS5. Well, I have an Xbox as well, but I don't hardly play it anymore. But I'm like, I'm going to play games wherever they come. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm going to have access to the games I want to play.
And their metric for success with this game, because they are so heavily invested in Game Pass and what that means for their future, is wildly different than what Sony's measurement for success would be for one of their first party releases. Like, it's not going to be the dollars made by the game. That doesn't really matter in the long run for Microsoft because they have so much goddamn money and they're making money elsewhere. So it's mostly just the like, who's playing it, how many people are engaged with this software, how many people are engaging for the first time, how many people are returning. Like, these are all valuable metrics that they'll be getting from a megaton release like Starfield. It's going to be their biggest release since Halo, probably bigger than Halo in some ways.
Oh, I would say, well, I guess I don't know how big Halo is because in my mind, Halo is like,
it's tough because Halo had a free to play like multiplayer element to it, and that inflates numbers quite a bit. But as far as single play, this is their biggest single player game they've ever released in Game Pass.
Oh, for sure, without a doubt. Halo had like a kind of a crazy little drop off. Like a
troubles,
a precipitous, and for good reason. That game fucking sucked, but and was a mess as far as live service games go. Aren't they all though?
Live service, yeah.
Yeah,
oh, yeah.
I also fear that people are going to learn. Companies are going to learn the wrong lesson from this. Like Nick, you were talking about all these fucking games as service on Sony's like 5 to 10 year plan, and that they're going to double down on that, thinking, oh well, if they're going to have Call of Duty,
double down, but then half of them will get canceled. You know, the cycle continues.
Yes, if they're going to have Call of Duty exclusively on Microsoft in 10 years when their contract ends, which they will. We have to have game as service games, so we need to be developing game as service games that people can only play on Sony consoles. Like, it makes no sense with how much money Microsoft is worth for them to care about making money on a Call of Duty contract with other companies.
10 years is so long.
They would rather people subscribe to Game Pass and have to get Game Pass because that is where they've invested themselves. I don't know. It stinks, I tells ya, but I am pretty anti-capitalist and generally very socialist. So I'm just like, acquisition of gigantic companies by even more gigantic companies just makes me want to throw up, and I think does not help the consumer generally.
Let's pivot from exclusivity to exclusivity and really briefly talk about the Sony exclusive Spider-Man 2 story trailer dropped this week. Chris, you had a little something to say in the group chat.
Yeah, I appreciate your Charlie Day at the corkboard energy with regards to the identity of Venom. I love that, like myself, you want to look beyond what is on the surface to try to get ahead of the curves, get ahead of the twists, and be like, I knew it, I called it from forever ago. I seems pretty fucking clear who Venom is, and I think that at this point, you're really setting yourself up for a fall here.
Maybe. I'm not going to be disappointed if it ends up being Harry Osborn.
Oh boy, that's a clip. That's an insert clip for a November podcast when it turns out to be Harry Osborn the whole time, and you're like, I can't fucking believe that they set us up to think it's a twist, and it's right on the nose in the trailers the whole time. They just give it to us.
I haven't even watched the trailer, and it's already obvious to me that it's going to be like, 80 to 90% of the game, it's going to be Harry, and then it's going to be like, for a cool moment, for a cool boss fight at the end, you get to fight Venom as Kraven or whatever the fuck they're going to do. Like, it's just going to be like a twist, and then you're done, and then you have an open world to explore in post-game, collect all the backpacks again, or whatever the fuck you do in a Spider-Man game.
I don't think that counts. I think EJ is pretty clearly asserting, and you can correct me if I'm wrong,
Aunt May comes
EJ.
back from the dead.
She's Venom.
No, don't do that.
Peter. Yeah, that EJ seems clear to be asserting that it's going to be Harry for like a second, and that red herring's going to go away pretty quickly, and it's going to be somebody else for the majority of the game.
We don't know. And Chris, I still wish you'd play this goddamn game. I know you're getting to it soon, but
It's coming. Yeah, it's coming.
I just love that game. It's just so simple and charming, and it's just such a fun take on the Spider-Man mythos while still feeling like fresh and modern.
How fast can I do the story, do you think?
12 hours if you're speed running it. If you're collecting things, probably more like 20 hours. I mean, platinuming the game takes 2 runs, and I did it in I don't know how many hours. It was not that long. They're very easy platinums, and if you're playing the game on an easier mode, which fucking do it.
I mean, I probably, just for the sake of maybe being able to get this game when it comes out. When does this game come out? October?
September. Yeah, October, I think. Yeah, same day as Mario Wonder. It's like October 20th.
Okay, well then I have time.
Around
I could maybe do it. I don't know. I've just so much shit to play.
Also have to play Miles Morales, which again, I platinum everything. I think I did a story run through of Miles Morales for my second playthrough in like 4 hours.
Yeah, that game's really short, and I could play that on PS Plus Extra Double Goated or whatever the fuck the top subscription tier is.
I really like that game too. But Harry Osborn is not really a part of the first game at all. Like he's a little MacGuffin-ish. Yeah, he's a voice, and you get this little like side story about like you think he's away, and then you slowly uncover that he's actually been ill with something that killed his mom, and so you're not really sure where he is. But he's not really a part of the game. It's not that important to the game. But at the end, in the post-credit scene, you see he's revealed his dad, the mayor, has got him in a fucking secret sciencey room in his penthouse, and it's the symbiote, which is probably likely not of alien origin. We'll see how they decide to do that. But he is clearly being treated in this fucking back-to-tank, and the goop is there, and Norman puts his hand on the thing, and the black goop puts his hand up against his, and you're like, oh shit, right? The symbiote, sick. And in the trailer, we do the open, we get introduced to Harry, we get to see Harry's face and hear him talk, and we're like, oh my gosh, okay, Harry's
his new voice actor.
Right? He's alive, he's healthy, and he's back, and oh my gosh, okay. Is the symbiote a part of him already? Like, we don't know how that's all going to come into play. And he says, we're going to heal the world. And that ties into the whole side missions you do in the first game with him, where he's like a climate activist. And then at the end of the fucking trailer, you hear Venom say, we're going to heal the world, in his fucking spoopy Venom voice. I think he might have actually said, we're going to kill the world, but anyway.
Either way, it's a reference.
Clearly. So, I don't know. I feel like in the past they've been a little coy about this sort of thing, and that seems like too obvious to be like, everybody, Harry's Venom, exactly the way you thought this whole time. So to me, I'm like, it makes the most sense that this is how we introduce the symbiote. Harry, it can be twofold, right? It not only sets up the symbiote, which sets up Black Suit Spidey and might even set up some twist on Kraven's Last Hunt, which I could totally see happening. But it also sets up Harry fucking losing his mind and becoming a version of the Goblin because he was, affected by the symbiote and he was sick and all these things, whatever experimentation they did, right? So to me, it's like you could set up 2 really cool things that fit in line with the Spider-Man mythos, but in a completely new way and tie them in so intricately together.
Which is in keeping with their previous effort.
Exactly. To me, it feels like misdirect. And yeah, he'll be Venom briefly. Obviously, Peter gets the suit. Peter has to lose the suit for Venom to be Venom at some point, right? I think everything we've seen is probably really early on in the game as these things sort of go. I'm not going to be disappointed if it's Harry. I think it's cooler than making Harry Goblin 2. You know what I mean? Even though Green Goblin doesn't exist in this universe yet. So I'd be fine with that. Like, they take liberties with the Spider-Man mythos, and they've all, for me, worked out in a cool way. We'll see how that all works out. Chris, if you play Spider-Man 2018, you have to play Miles Morales.
No, I will. If I could do it, I will do both. Yeah, I know Nate's kind of pressing me to try and do it too. If I do, it's gonna be like just slam it for story. I played the first like hour and a half of that game like a year and a half ago. Like I did the whole Kingpin prologue and was like, oh, this is kind of cool. I don't really get how I'm supposed to be hurting you, but I found my way through it anyway.
QTEs, baby. I immediately go into all the accessibility options and I turn off everything even remotely resembling a QTE.
The hacking puzzles.
No, my first playthrough, I do all the puzzles legit. I get my trophy, and on the second playthrough, I auto everything. Literally everything. So it's just story. Combat on... Actually, the second time to get my platinum, I actually had to play it on the hardest difficulty, which is a fucking pain in the ass. But you need New Game Plus it. It's easier to play on the harder difficulty the second time. But it's also a bitch because you're like, I just want to fucking finish the game for my trophy. I don't want to have to deal with waves of impossible to defeat enemies, you know?
So as long as you're not sick of the head, it sounds like a good time.
Yeah, I enjoyed the combat. I liked the way that it moved and the way that it felt. It felt like frenetic and cool and like how Spider-Man would probably beat up a bunch of fucking goons. Yeah, it's just a matter if it gets to the pile or not.
We'll see. I have a feeling I'm right about the Venom thing. There's going to be some sort of misdirect. And Nick, you might be right. And they may, obviously they're going to use this as a way of introducing like whether it's a Flash Thompson Venom or whether Eddie Brock comes into play at the end, like there will be a torch of some kind passed off. I have a feeling they'll probably pass it off to a Flash Thompson, and Spider-Man 3, you'll have some sort of Lethal Protector split off storyline, and you're gonna have 3 Spider-Men.
Gotta do Carnage then too.
Well, that's what I'm kind of wondering also, because it feels like if they're gonna misdirect anybody else into the suit, probably Norman, right? Like, having not played the first game, if Harry gets like killed by Peter, perhaps unknowingly, and Norman snaps, is there another symbiote? Like, is Norman as Carnage like actually where you go with that? Like, I don't know.
That would be weird.
Or Norman as Venom? Like, I don't know, because they, like you said, they seem to have done a lot of their own takes on everything, which is kind of liberating. After a lot of iteration of the same shit. Yeah, I don't know. I hope I can get through it.
I'll pray for you, Chris.
Don't do that.
Guys, I went garage selling this weekend, and for once in my freaking life, finally got a legitimately awesome deal on goated fucking retro shit. Like, the competition for garage selling around here has been stiff for a decade. Oh, you're the 4th person to ask me this morning, you know, this kind of thing. I found a complete in-box NES, a very rare variant with the Nintendo Player's Guide. Not easy to find. $60 from this guy.
What's that going to go for?
It hasn't sold on eBay within eBay's history, recent history, however far back they go on the sold listings. It has not sold. There's 2 listed for $400.
Ho.
But I kind of want to keep it. I kind of want to keep it, though, as a thing.
You're at an inflection point, my friend, and that is, are you going to be what the market, as you've expressed, has dictated people have to become, which is a flipper?
Yeah.
Or are you just looking for stuff that you want to have? Because sometimes you come out and you're like, oh, I got this sweet Wii U, and I'm like, you need another fucking Wii U. Like, that's a flip. You got those Beetleborgs action figures. Like, is that a flip?
I'm keeping those. Big Beetleborg guy back in the day.
Big bad.
Beetleborgs, dude.
Beetleborgs.
So good.
Beetleborgs.
Oh, man.
Okay, great. Well, yeah, so I guess that's a you question, because turning 60 into 400.
Probably more than 400.
We'll see. Yeah, I don't know.
Yours is in really good condition. The picture you sent out was like,
clean.
well, the controller's got some scuffs. I would switch that out for a better looking controller if you have a better looking controller.
Well, I just ordered I got a really, really good deal. I think I paid $30 for an NES player guide with the stickers intact, which was like a $50 discount on the going rate right now on eBay. And I bought a couple of inserts so I can like properly complete it, or as close to properly complete it as I can.
Sure.
It'll have a warranty card and a manual and stuff. This particular box, I found one unboxing from like 11 years ago on YouTube. This particular box had some very interesting ephemera that is not in any of the other sets. And I can't find those. So it'll be close to complete. And so Sarah obviously wants me to sell it because that's kind of why we're out, flipping things. But as we talked about before, like if you want to collect anything, you also have to be a reseller. And I'm like, I've already made my money back on this NES from all the other shit we found that day. And I already have sold it. I shipped out like close to $600 in shit this week. And so I'm like, I just kind of want to keep the $60 NES. You know what I mean? Like,
is there a world where your NES can get you anywhere near to that?
No. The NES consoles aren't.
Still need to help me sell my CRT that I found on the side of the road as well.
Dude, I told you at the beginning of the pod, I've gone full fucking ham on CRT collecting. I picked one up at the beach. Like literally went out and met a woman and went into her home and removed this Magnavox VHS DVD combo from her home. The one that my brother brought from my parents' place, I kept. I bought one of the last made Trinitrons, little KV13 FS100 with the component inputs. I bought a beautiful 27-inch Trinitron.
He's dropping model numbers. He's gotten serious.
Oh, I've been full sicko mode for a while now, but I'm like finally starting to acquire things.
You have the means to.
Bro, the nice Trinitron with the chip that you could RGB and component mod pretty easily.
Ooh.
So it's been pretty. I found, dude, okay, literally last week, Nick, I know you remember this. The little 13-inch DVD playing fucking Toshiba that I had on the wire rack with the wood top for years.
The silver one, right?
Yep. I had to do like some digging, right? I couldn't find, it wasn't on CRT database. I had to like go digging to find the remote. Like in my mind, I see the remote. So I go and find the remote just from pictures in my memory, find the remote, cross-reference a manual to all the models of television that it was compatible with, found the Toshiba TV that I had from middle school until...
When you played Wind Waker on.
I mean, yes.
Star Wars Battlefront.
Yes. I shit you not. A week ago, I'm looking this up. Saturday or Friday morning, we go garage selling. The third sale we go to in this same block of sales. Third fucking sale. I walk up. There it is. With the remote, with a working DVD player, dude.
Man.
And I was like, so I bought this CRT that I have on my desk. I've had for several months now with the VHS player. Just a little RCA unit just to pop in home movies that I've been sending off to get transferred to digital. And so I've been keeping my eye out. I haven't seen this TV anywhere. I could hardly find anything online about it. And I walk up to the third fucking garage sale on a Friday morning, and there it is with the remote, fully operated. Dude, I was like, Sarah, what are the fucking odds? It was $25. I didn't even haggle with the guy. I was like, just give it to me. I'll take it. I was so happy. It's a shitty TV. It's got one composite input. It's a terrible TV. The DVD player works, and I'm so stoked about it.
I'm happy for you, man. That's fucking cool. That's fucking cool.
Buy your childhood.
Dude, I was on eBay looking for the wire rack.
Just buy another one of those. They sell at like IKEA for like
I
nothing.
need to find the baskets, the pull-out baskets.
Those baskets are trash.
They make the sound when we pull them out, dude.
Trashkets.
Yeah, I need them trashkets back in my life.
They alert your dad that you're gaming at late hours. It's like the Metal Gear exclamation point above his head.
What?
I remember being, obviously, Mom was a little bit of an authoritarian about our game playing late at night, especially. I remember one time like sneaking out to play Trauma Center on the Wii. I had the volume so low. I had it so low, and I'm in the basement, right? That sweet, beautiful, big basement. And I hear, like creaks starting, and I pause for 1 second and then immediately go, I better get this off immediately, and run, like slap the power button, slap on the Wii, slap the power button on the TV, literally run around on pad feet as fast as I fucking can into the hallway, duck into the bathroom as my mom is getting to the head of the stairs, and in a stroke of genius, flush the fucking toilet, wash my
Brilliant.
hands, stumble out of the bathroom, and go back into bed. And then I hear creak, 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 and she goes back to bed. Got away with it, but she fucking had me dead to rights. I was like, I'm fucked. She's hiding the Wiimotes again. Like, it's over.
That is fucking classic, dude. Yeah, my mom was really strict about like TV off at night and stuff. And even after I got the TV in my room, which was in late middle school and obviously through high school, but I was one of the I would stay up all night. This before like we have cell phones, but like what are you doing on your cell phone in 2008? You know, like texting if one of your friends is awake at 1 a.m. You know, like you're not doing
trying
anything.
to text a girl,
right? Well, primarily,
That is it.
yeah. But like people sleep. I didn't sleep a lot. I would go to bed at 1, 2 a.m. You wake up for 6, you fall asleep in journalism class, no big deal. So my dad would sometimes like shuffle her and be like, you need to turn the TV off. But he wasn't like a dick about it. Like he would kind of be
he was
like,
up late watching TV too.
well,
He knew.
exactly. He fucking knew. So he'd be like, he's like, your mom's not going to be happy. Turn the TV off.
Falling asleep to Kiss videos or whatever he did.
For real, dude. I can't quite reach the remote. It's just right behind me. But the remote has this fun. I've talked about this on the podcast, I think. It's got a button you press and you can cycle through display modes. I could turn my display off. So like he'd be coming down the hall and I would flip the display and I'd be like, it's just on for the sound so I can fall asleep to the sound. And he'd be like, all right. And then he fucking bloop, you know, flip the display back on when he leaves.
Gotcha, boomer.
Oh man. Anyway, lots of memories there. What, Nick, you found a CRT on the side of the road from 85, 87?
Straight up the 80s, not even RCA inputs. Like, well,
Wow.
kind of. I don't know. It looks like it has like the one video in, but it's black and I think is it black and white color? I don't know. I haven't actually watched anything on it or like tried to plug anything into it. We do have an N64, so I could plug in a old console into it, but I have not done that. I turned it on and watched the fly race, as my dad used to call it, with the static. But just to confirm that video happened and it has sound, like you can turn the volume up and down. So it's like, it functions. It seems like there's no burn-in that I can notice. It seems like even the geometry is better than the real actual CRT that I have behind me. Not that one's like super great or anything either, but yeah, really weird find. Like I was driving home and Lindsay got home a little bit after me and I was like, she got home and we were going to eat. And I was like, yeah, there's a CRT on the side of the road in our cul-de-sac. She's like, well, we have to go get it, right? And I was like,
nice. Shut up,
I love
Lindsay.
you. So yeah, we just walk over and grab it.
Dude.
It's really cool though. It's got handles on the side, so it's actually like carryable.
Okay, I might need to just buy this from you, bro. Dude,
Take it.
I'm buying I have these huge metal racks in my garage, like industrial racks for storage and like all my film gear on one and all of our shipping and storage gear on the other. I'm going to buy another one of those just for fucking TVs. Because, like, the end game, besides just being a dork who's collecting another thing, you know, before they're prohibitively expensive.
A TV for every console.
I tell you, I've gone down the rabbit hole. I subscribed to the guy who made the CRT database. I subscribed to his Patreon, and I've been, like, messaging him to, like, hey, I found the service manual for this. Can you add it to the site? You know, is this chip moddable? Yeah, I would literally have had diagrams open in service manuals, cross-referencing other mods to see if the chips in the TVs I have are compatible. Like, it's been full sicko mode. But I have a project right now musically that I will be doing a music video for, and it's all going to be CRT TVs in a black room, just like a cylinder of CRTs surrounded, stacked like 4 high. Okay, so they're props, and thus business write-offs. So
Excellent.
Good for you.
So I'm collecting now, bro. But it's just such a dumb thing. Retro tech, like you go to estate sales and you find like just old radios. That shit fascinates me, but I know I can't just start like buying old radios. Like that's crazy. I can't do that. You know, I have to be able to justify my one sickness, you know?
And you have no affinity for that either. You don't have a childhood listening radios. A childhood watching TV.
Shout out to 101 KUFO, motherfucker. When that's all you had was the fucking AM, FM radio with the alarm that woke you up every morning.
Beep, 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 beep.
It's very specific to you, I think.
No, I had that.
Listening to Tim Savage on KUFO play Tool for me and like, you know, Mastodon and Ozzy Osbourne. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think I had a clock in my room.
Fucking Nick had the internet in his room growing up. I had a password on my computer. No, you didn't get internet into your room till middle school, right?
High school.
Was it high school?
Yeah.
I just remember being so jealous.
Lucky duck. We had one computer, which meant that if I wanted to have some alone time, I had to be very specific about how and when I did that.
That's probably all of our experiences, having to boot in a safe mode because there was a password on the computer and you boot in a safe. I know Nick knows the whole routine. After a while, I just borrowed Nick's PSP and I would just use that.
You're that PSP?
I hadn't seen some shit, bro.
All right.
And I remember I accidentally did a firmware update on it, and I know. I am so sorry, dude.
I just wanted to play the game. It said to do it, so I did it.
I just said yes. I just let it play. How come Pokemon's not working now, dude? You fucking idiot.
That's why I can't have nice things.
Kids are dumb, dude. Anything else, Chris, you want to talk about before we jump off of the dealio? Thanks for letting me rant, by the way. I wasn't here last week, so I'm making up for lost time.
We love it. This is important for us, too.
Yeah, we'll continue to enable your habits.
I'm sick and I'm taking you down with me.
Yeah. No, I mean, I don't have anything else. I'm just trying to finish Zelda, man. I'm just trying to finish Zelda.
You feeling better this week?
I'm feeling way better. Like last week, I still had that cold I was getting over. My left knee was aching from falling off a boulder like a week and a half ago. And I was like, oh, fuck. And so I wore a compression brace for a couple days. That's fine. That's great. I went out and climbed last night for a little bit, and then he feels good. I'm healthy. I'm just trying to avoid the crushing apathy in my last 3 days of work at this job. And thankfully, I saved theater week for last so that I could just do stuff that I know really well and don't have to do any preparation for whatsoever or involve any materials other than the human body and voice.
Okay, Jim Halpert. Got him!
I taught children how to fucking sword fight, but yes, I'm Jim Halpert. If anything, I'm Dwight, which is upsetting to admit live on the air.
Well, I just mean, you're like the crushing apathy and not wanting to prepare because it's so easy. I don't need to. It was a good callback.
I've taught these classes for 10 years. Like I don't need to prep these classes.
I'm not judging you, pal. I'm just doing a bit.
It's a good bit. It's a great bit even, but I will need you to get Jim's name out of my mouth. Anyway, no, I don't have shit to say, man. I'm just almost done here in Anchorage. I gotta ship like a whole box of stuff to Tiffany that I didn't have when I got up here, which always happens. Like I'll out myself here with some like really stupid collectible stuff. I have 2 stacks of souvenir popcorn tins and drink cups just from since I've been with Tiffany that literally go from like the rack above the laundry machines to the ceiling. Because my whole thing, and I do this at like sporting venues too. I don't like to buy souvenirs at sport venues because they're so fucking expensive. Like getting a piece of like, even like Kentucky Wildcats gear when we went to a game at Rupp Arena would have been like $35 for a hat. And I'm like, absolutely not. I'm not doing that. So I get the souvenir soda cup. And I've done that at every sports arena that I've gone to basically in my entire adult life since I started going to Ducks games, since I started getting money when I was in college and going to Ducks games and Blazers games on my own dime. Souvenir cup every time. I have the like Dame Lillard and Myers Leonard rookies souvenir cup from their first season. I've got a ton of them. I just got a ton of them. And that has carried over to the movies. And this is even like without all of the ones that I picked up when Daphne and I were together, because it would be like 50% more if I still had all of those. And she offered them to me when I was like getting the last couple things out of where she had this stuff. And I was like,
I'm keeping the video games, but you can have the souvenir cups.
No, I got my fucking video games back. This is all my shit had been acquired. There was just a couple more things. Like it's that last, like going into the garage and getting the last things. It's just fucking depressing as fucking. I'm like, no, I'm not fucking taking these. Anyway, so I collect those. So I have the Across the Spider-Verse popcorn tub and cup that I have to ship down. And those are just so large. I'll just do like a flat rate box. It'll probably be like $15 and I should be able to get all the shit that I don't want to put in my bags in there.
No CRTs, right?
Nope.
I know for a while there you were sending me some Facebook Marketplace listings. There was a banger of a listing of Super Nintendo games that someone else had pounced on.
For $20, yeah. Like, man, if I could have, I would have kept Mega Man X for myself at $20 and been like, that's my game now. But there was a bunch that would have been like a tidy little profit.
See, this is the problem, is a lot of those Like Mega Man X Top 100. I gotta get a copy now. It must happen. It is written.
They did a 30th anniversary or 35th anniversary of Mega Man, like rerun of Mega Man X with like a classic SNES Gray and also a Crystal Blue cartridge. I wish I didn't know that. I really wish I didn't know that.
Was that a limited run thing or an official Capcom?
I am 8-bit.
I may be.
I wish I'd have known about it at the time. I would have just bought it. Anyway, no, that's me. I'm just a man in Hyrule trying to save the day.
Mega Man X 30th Anniversary Classic cartridge with colored Nintendo SNES. $100. Oof. Sorry, $200. I misread that. That's $199. Oof.
I often convince, or never mind. It's dead. The joke's dead. I fucked up the beginning. Damn it.
Here's one for $119.
That's $100 new from I am 8-bit DJ.
It's still available?
Yeah.
This must be a color variant. I don't know why it's fucking listed on eBay.
Yeah, it might be the color variant, the crystal one. Yeah, the
Yeah.
gray cartridge is still available.
That's the one I want. I want the blue one. I want that sexy blue.
Does this actually play on it's a cartridge that plays? Do I want to get a original cart for the top 100 collection or?
Cartridge colorways are randomly inserted into sealed, unmarked boxes. The total edition of 8500 is comprised of 7500 of the opaque white and 1000 of translucent glow-in-the-dark blue.
Interesting.
But they're still selling, and they started doing this like a few years ago.
So you could potentially
Still get a glow-in-the-dark one, yeah.
$100 is kind of steep.
Yeah, I'm not really interested in repros unless they are of games like fan translations of games that are not available in English.
Or things with very limited run original releases. Like I thought it was cool they did the Shantae re-release because that original cartridge is like many hundreds of dollars.
I wonder if there'd be a market if Nintendo was just like, you know what, we're gonna start making the Super Nintendo again, like just manufacturing, just legit, same process, same hardware, kind of like they did with the GameCube controller, like identical. Obviously, that's a much bigger market than a Super Nintendo and a select few cartridges. That it's like
I guess Smash Bros. For the Wii U was their inflection point to start making GameCube controllers again.
They probably still held out some modicum of hope that was gonna, be a boon to the console sales, and would.
Smash Bros. Sold really well on Wii U, but
Yeah.
I don't know. It's also their least successful console.
It was
Not
a
by a
good-ass
lot, though.
game. It was a good-ass game.
Not by a lot, but like maybe a little more than half of the GameCube.
Yeah, we had 13 million versus 28 million, I think.
Oof.
And then
So
64 is like 59.
it's like 30 something.
No, I thought it. GameCube did half.
NES was
it.
like 60, and then SNES was like 40 something, and N64 was 30 something, and GameCube was 20 something.
See, I'm curious now because
Go for it, brother.
Nintendo console sales. Well, I looked this up. Anything else you want to touch on before we get out of here, Nick?
No, I was just kind of looking at the league as far as what's coming out and like what I'm actually interested in playing. So obviously Pikmin came out, and I want to play that. I know Chris is probably going to be playing Disney Illusion Island with Tiffany. And then Bomb Rush is also next month. So you can see if that's going to get a physical release on Switch, I guess. If you want to hold out for that. I don't know if they would do that or how soon they would do it. And then Sea of Stars after that. I want to play that. That looks really good. The demo is tight. And then Starfield. I know EJ's going to be playing that. So yeah, just as far as games, yeah, I feel like I'm just going to be doing Pikmin and then digging into the backlog some more. I'm not sure what else I'm going to be playing until, Mario and Mario RPG. Like that's like the games I'm looking forward to actually playing this year. I might wait for Sea of Stars for a physical release. But I don't know. That's just, I'm thinking about games and what I'm going to be playing.
What a stacked fucking year it's been already. And then I'm like, I look down the barrel of 2 Mario games I'm going to buy and Spider-Man and,
Starfield.
I mean, Starfield, if I have, honestly, I could only hope. A boy can dream that game turns into Skyrim for me 2.0 because Skyrim got me good back in 2011.
I would certainly like for it to be a 93 or 94.
I'm sure you would, motherfucker.
I'm also curious about how, not from like an actual me wanting to play it, but I'm curious into how Assassin's Creed is going to be received and them going back to the old formula a little bit and what that means compared to what they've been doing, the more of like the action RPG kind of vibes. I played a little bit of Odyssey and was not wildly impressed, but that could just be me kind of sour on Western AAA in general.
I started Origins and I did not stick. I was like, this is fine, but it's just odd to me. And I don't know. I like that formula is a good formula. I don't want to level. I don't want to worry about gear. I don't want to worry about that shit. Like, I want to do stealth stuff and have set pieces.
Mirage might be the fucking thing then for you. Like, it seems like a return to that form.
I'm not taking a flyer on it. I'm going to wait and I'm going to see what the
Brennan already
review
has it,
consensus
so.
is.
You meant for actually playing it.
Oh, I thought you meant the league. You mean to actually play? You're not going to buy it day one just to show your...
No, absolutely fucking not. I haven't played one of these games. I haven't played like the last 3 of these games. Like, why would I go buy that when it released? I'm going to wait and see what people have to say with regards to like the formula, and then I'll get it for $30 in a year.
Modern Assassin's Creed games it's like The Witcher without any of the charm or brilliant performances or...
Yeah.
Honestly, we were driving around out at the coast, and one of the songs from the Witcher soundtrack that I have on my phone popped up. I was like, this is a fucking vibe, dude. Like, what a great soundtrack that game had. It's just, let's see, Wii U, 13.5 million units. GameCube, 21.7. 64, 32.9. I thought that was higher. 50 for the Super Nintendo, 60 for the NES. Nintendo's home consoles sell like shit. This is why they're not going to go back to do a normal console.
No, those were all really, really popular. That was just the entire market back then. Sold like shit. You're so Wii and Switch pilled that everything else looks bad in comparison to you.
The Game Boy sold more than twice the fucking amount of goddamn NES.
Over 15 years.
Yeah, it ran forever, and that's also including the Game Boy Color line, the Game Boy Pocket line. Like, it's the same as the fucking 3DS sales. All these variants like jack up their overall sales totals, and they had the market to themselves. They were the only portable gaming device, certainly the only one worth
for
owning.
$80 too.
Shout out to the fucking Game Gear that had a goddamn backlight,
which came later and took 6 batteries, and they drained so fucking fast. I own a Game Gear. Don't at me about the Game Gear, bitch. Like, I know the Game Gear.
And name a good Game Gear game.
One of the Sonics, probably. Did they have Echo the Dolphin on the Game Gear?
Dude, I bought the Sonic Origins Plus, and I really want to go into some of these like Game Gear Sonic titles and like poke around a little bit. I own a lot of them. Have I played them? No, but I do own physicals of a lot of them.
The Game Gear came out a year after the Game Boy.
And how long did they keep making it? They're too busy making the 32X or whatever to support the Game Gear. Or the Genesis Nomad.
Nomad's so cool. That's like my favorite stupid thing that I own in my collection is a Nomad.
The Nomad walked so the Switch could run.
I saw that in a GameStar, I think, in McMinnville when I was in college, and I was like, what is that? And they're like, oh, it's a portable Genesis. I'm like, oh, is that like an off-brand thing? And they're like, no, man, that's Sega branded. I'm like, holy shit, I have to own that. And finally found one on Craigslist. I picked up I think I probably gave him like $70 or $80, and I got a Nomad and a Master System, both of which are still in my collection. But I'm like, man, this is awesome. This is so fucking cool. Like, just throw Sonic 2 in there, like slap it on AC power, and just go to town. I'm like,
and Knuckles in there too. Just have a monstrosity sticking out the back.
Yeah.
Sega, what a weird history that company's had. I mean, they had the Genesis. And then they just started pumping out fucking add-ons. They had the Sega CD and the 32X, and then a year of the Saturn when they were trying to make Saturn happen, and people were like, Saturn's not happening.
They died for a reason. They were completely incompetent.
They had the internet, dude. Fucking MegaNet or whatever the fuck it was called before.
They had downloadable games. You could subscribe to their cable service and get like full on. You would download Mortal Kombat. You could only download half the characters because it was like limited to what it could store in RAM. It's so weird.
In so many ways, Sega was ahead of Nintendo. Like,
oh, totally. They're both like batshit weird companies. So Wild West. And then Sony was like, hold my beer.
Yeah, it's just it's unfortunate how it shook out. Can you imagine a world where Sega was still making consoles alongside Nintendo and Xbox and fucking PlayStation?
No, I can't, because they're like a B tier at best Japanese publisher at this point. Like, I put them in the ranks like below Bandai Namco, but above Koei Tecmo.
Ugh, you get one good game every 6 years. And that's only if you were a fan of them 30
No, you
years
get
ago.
6 Yakuza games every year.
Are they all good?
I mean, look at the scores. They all rate very highly.
Okay. It's like the visual novel crowd. It's like, oh my gosh, we get 19 Danganronpa spinoffs a year, and everyone's happy. And it's like, what the fuck is this? Grow up. Like better things.
The weeaboo contingent will be served.
Listen, Dark Souls is right there, motherfuckers.
Bandai Namco, again, a step above Sega.
Definitely, I would agree with that. This has been the most fucking meandering, rambling, much ado about nothing podcast we have done in a long time. I didn't mind.
I didn't mind either. This is a good time. Highlight of my week.
I'm going to go hit up the Anchorage marketplace and see if there's any good finds before Chris leaves Alaska. Could you ship the CRT to me? You gotta package it really well, bro. No. That's a no.
Come on, it's pretty small. It could be a carry-on.
That's crazy. Oh my god, dude. No, those things would probably implode on an airplane.
Yeah, they depressurize. The tubes get all fucking sketchy.
You know how fucking dangerous CRTs are?
Those capacitors, man.
Bro, the capacitors carrying lethal charges of electricity that even after discharge might just suddenly spontaneously kill you still for some reason. The fucking radiation emitting from those things enough to give you fucking cancer, blocked only by like buckets of lead, the only thing keeping you from frying your eyeballs out. Okay, how about the vacuum sealed tube that if broken will implode and then turn into a bomb, showering you at hundreds of miles per hour, shards of glass right into your face when you're watching. I mean, it's insane.
And you have like 7 of these in your garage.
So far.
Soon to be mine, so you get another 8. You get an 8th right there.
Dude, I've honestly had to quit looking at Marketplace because now they're just popping up. And I'm like, no, I can't buy any more. These were in everybody's homes once upon a time. Nobody's fucking OLED fucking Samsung QLED ever exploded watching an episode of fucking Scrubs. You know what I mean?
Seinfeld.
It's terrifying. This has been the Console Crusade CRT cast.
Cathode Crusade cast.